My name's Jessie Harte. I'm a creative director and I work in advertising.
My name is Simeon Coker. I'm a senior copywriter and I work in advertising. So what is technology to you?
Technology to me, starting with a biggie. I think it's sort of just what makes everything that we do come to life and work. And I think it's changed a lot. And I think that I feel like I don't know enough about it, but I somehow work with it every day. How about you?
To me, it's innovation. Like, I think it goes hand in hand with improving anything. So it's, whether it's, I mean, like, we've been innovating throughout time, but I think technology just incorporates computers into innovation. So whether it's the car, from, Model T to now where you get into a car and there's an iPad in there, I think that's technology. It makes the things that we use on a day-to-day basis better. What's one project that you worked on that made you feel like you were the best creative director in the world?
I think for me, I worked on the Taco Bell app. It was the first time they were doing ordering, and it's just like one of those projects where you design something and then it actually looks like that when it comes to life. It just looked really cool. I got to go and photograph all of the food on their menu. A lot of tacos, a lot of gorditas. I got to hang out in their test kitchen, but it was just also for me, one of those projects, it was kind of a turning point, I think, in my career where I really went from designer to creative director. And it was just, I don't know, I like to see things through. And that one felt really powerful for me.
Have you met anyone who's used the Taco Bell app?
I have.
Okay.
We have lots of fans. People were making raps about it.
Oh, okay.
It was actually really a cool project. What about you? What do you think a project you worked on that made you feel like a great writer?
I think the interesting thing about advertising for me as a writer is that the reason why I chose advertising instead of journalism is because it's about conceptual. It's about being conceptual. It's about creating ideas that really bring a brand to life. Yeah. So one of those projects was I worked on Nike a few years ago, and I worked on the release for one of Kobe's last sneakers that he was releasing before he retired. And so there was this long, Kobe's it's kind of weird, but there's a story behind all of his sneakers. So they wanted to bring this story to life. And we created this interactive website, and we did that strategically because we didn't want to create another app that people had to download. Right. So we created this site that if you use it on your mobile device, you can interact with it. So there was a heartbeat symbol, and if you went and clicked on the heartbeat, your phone would start vibrating to the heartbeat. There was a jet. You could feel the jet kind of swooping through your phone with the vibration. That's
really innovative for mobile web on the phone.
And it was
that's so cool.
A couple of years ago. So when we did it, the technology was new. And I think that's kind of the cool thing about technology, where it's you have this idea and then it's okay, can you actually do it? And if you're working with people who know what they're doing, they can bring those ideas to life. So how did you get into advertising?
Good question. I was a painter.
Okay.
Yep, I grew up painting my whole life. I worked for this really talented artist. Her name's Julie Lester. And I loved painting. And I went to college and I was going to paint. And my dad kind of gave me a little nudge and was maybe just check out design, check out something where you're not, selling your stuff on the street.
Where you can make money.
And the thing is, I really, really liked letter forms, and I didn't really make that connection until I went to college that I love typography. So for me, it was sort of this transition from, very traditional oil painting to using a letterpress. And then that sort of, transitioned into, me becoming a graphic designer and then going down this path. And it's funny because my mom was in advertising my whole life. I didn't think about it when I was a kid. She worked actually at Ogilvy for years. And it was a big part of my life. It's just not something I as a kid like connected that I would maybe do. So it's actually been really cool that we have that in common now.
Interesting. So we have that in common as well, because I actually grew up painting and doing art, and I went to school for art, and then I was like, oh, I don't think I want to do this for a living. So I transitioned into mass communications, and I worked in media sales for like 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And I realized I hated it. But what I loved about it was that you could connect with people. And once you get to the media sales stage, what's done is already done. So there isn't that much that you can do to course correct something that isn't effective.
Right.
And so the best way to do it, to make it effective, is to do it at the advertising stage and be a part of the team that's coming with the big idea. So I went back to school and studied creative advertising, and then networked and got my way into
that's how it happens. I mean, I was a receptionist for a long time at an agency, and that's sort of just like how I, kind of also got my way in and connected with people and networked, and you got to do what you got to do.
I feel like most people have like a hustle story.
I hope so. They should, and if they don't, then it was definitely too easy.
I don't want to talk to them. What's your favorite digital tool or application that you use?
So the way I actually work, my team does more experience design work than like traditional advertising. So I'm really doing I'm doing websites and digital experiences, like a little less commercials, if you will. So our favorite tool on my team right now is called Sketch. It's actually like kind of come in, like take in poor Adobe by storm. It's just so easy to use. It's like a much more affordable tool. So if anyone's like interested in design, it's sort of a great like way to get in. And it just makes us so much faster. I have a few designers on my team who love using Printable for prototyping. That is something I'm like working on. I'm sort of, busy writing decks and designing things, not so much animating them, but that's like on my to-do list for this year. So what about you?
I'm a writer, so Facebook and Twitter, and those are like my go-tos, because part of my job is to be conceptual, but also make sure that I'm capturing the right tone of what's happening now. So I'm like surfing social media a lot, but one of the tools that I use a lot to just kind of, obviously we live in New York City, but to like keep on top of stuff is Pocket. So I'll like save articles and read them later while I'm on the train. And I would say the other main application that I use is Google Docs.
Oh yeah.
Just because I can like edit stuff on the go, and like working on decks, I hate sitting at my desk. So if we're all working in a Google Doc and I'm like going down the street, I can like edit in real time. So like I use basic tools to make my life easier.
I should actually add the other tool I use that I'm in love with is Slack. Do you guys use Slack?
I hate Slack.
Do you? Okay, so for me, we have like, it's like a combination of like file sharing and like commenting. So like I'm constantly sending files back and forth.
I'm just like, email me.
I completely understand. I used to be like that. Give it a try.
It's like one more thing to have to like keep on top of.
That's true. That's true.
Why is it important to be a part of the creative and technology communities around you?
I'll put it this way. If I'm like home, I'm thinking in like a physical sense even. Like if I'm ever home just like working by myself, I don't feel like, yes, I'm connected on my computer, I'm connected when I'm like, working from home, whatever. I feel like it's not the same as like seeing the people that are also doing the same thing. So really it's important to me because I want to connect.
Got it.
I feel like I never know like what I'm gonna, go out and do one day, like walking down the street, like what's gonna inspire me. It's really interesting too, like being a manager now. I have like all these like young designers coming up, and the ideas they come up with are just so inspiring, and so it keeps me interested, and it kind of keeps me fresh and like wanting to like, help them continue to grow. I don't know if that actually answered your question.
No, I think it does, because like my answer is kind of similar, where like going back to the original question, like what is technology? To me, like being a part of those communities allows you to understand what's working, what's not working, what needs to be innovated, or where's the white space that we can all play in to create that new piece of technology. Because, I think that's, right now we're kind of in this bubble of like startups, and I think at the core of every startup is that them looking for that white space to kind of capitalize on. And I think that happens when you're part of these communities that allow you to continue to be inspired and just recognize what's happening around you. Because the more that you know, the more you know about what's happening around you, the more you can like create things that are effective and not just like add another app into the world.
Right. And I think actually, just to add to that, I think a really important part is having perspective. I feel like, if you're too close to something sometimes, like you're not gonna do the right thing for it. I mean, you have to have perspective, like not just what's going on in our industry, but like what's going on in the world. And like, I mean, you have to like, be like watching the news, reading the news, like having, actual, like living in this world, realizing you're with other people, not just like in this little isolated like office in the city. So
I mean, and I think that's like key for our industry, because at the core of advertising is communication. It's like if you don't know what's going on around you, then you can't communicate effectively with the people that you're trying to reach.
Right, absolutely.
Well, it was great meeting you.
It was awesome talking to you too.
Learning about your design world.
We gotta go get lunch sometime and can continue this conversation.